So this is just a quick unboxing of the Sigma 18-50 f2.8, and it's like a mini review also. I've literally just finished doing the unboxing video for the Sony FX30, and this lens is going to be mounted to that body, and it's more or less just going to live on that camera from here on out. It's going to be a part of an online streaming setup where it's one of 3 cameras. There's already 2 FX30s with 18-50s at the studio. This is going to be the 3rd camera added to that collection. And I opted for this lens just because of its price for the most part. It's much cheaper than the competition out there. There is the new Sony 16-55 f2.8, but it's much more expensive. But it is a little bit wider on the wide side and a little bit longer on the telephoto side. The benefits of this lens though is the close focusing, and I really do appreciate about this. But the one thing that I really hate about this lens is the barrel distortion. It's so noticeable on the wide side, so I tend to not want to shoot wide on this lens. When you're doing photos, it's fine. You can actually just add lens profile correction on Lightroom or whatever photo editing software that you're using, but on video, it's a little bit harder. I don't actually know if you can actually do a lens correction profile on video, but if you can, let me know. By all means, correct me in the comment section. So I'm just going to open this up now. Usual typical things. Welcome support, warranty documentation, just parking that aside, never look at that. Yeah, warranty stickers and so forth. Again, never need to look at that. And that's the unboxing. It is such an easy unboxing. The lens just comes wrapped up in plastic with a lens hood. And honestly, just look at the size of this thing. It is so super compact. If I ever go on holiday and I just want to take one lens with me, it'll probably be this lens, along with an APS-C system. There are some drawbacks, like I said, with this lens in the sense of the barrel distortion. These not quite as wide as I would like it, but it is such a versatile lens, and it's an f2.8, and it's really small and light. And just for comparison's sake, here's the 24-70 f2.8 full frame, and here's the 18-50. In terms of focal range, they're quite comparable, and since this is APS-C and this is full frame, they're both f2.8. But what I will say to that is this f2.8 is on APS-C is more equivalent to this on an f4 in terms of performance. The shallow depth of field, the low light performance, you are going to lose a little bit of that when you go to APS-C. So I have wondered many times, should I just stick to full frame, get rid of all APS-C bodies, and actually just use maybe like an f4 lens of the full frame variant? Because the Sony 20-70 f4 isn't quite an enticing lens for me. 20mm is wide enough for good landscapes. 70mm is a good telephoto. F4 is manageable, but then this lens also is just very compact. The close focusing is really good. You just have to sacrifice on the wide side with the 18mm and the barrel distortion. Other than that, this lens is not stabilized, but neither is this. But most Sony bodies nowadays actually have really good stabilization, whether that be electronic or IBIS. So just in closing, do I recommend this lens? 100% I do. You can buy them on the used market for relatively cheap, surprisingly. I got my one for very cheap. I think I found my one for like just under £300, and this is actually going for like £500 new recommended retail. I haven't shown too many image examples from this lens, and that is because I don't really have too much to pull from. It's not a lens that I use very regularly. I use it for some specific work, but I haven't used it in a wide variety of different scenarios. Partly because of what I have seen of it, I don't want to use it in those scenarios. To give you an example, what I mean is that when you're shooting on 18mm, I have mentioned earlier that the barrel distortion is actually really bad on this lens. And I can actually show you because my overhead camera up here is actually shot on the XF30 with this lens. So if I'm just going to zoom out, here we are, 18mm. You can see the edges on my message desk. That's partly the reason why I usually leave it zoomed in. But the other side is because this line here is now bowed. And I really don't like that look. So if I was just to zoom in, here is usually around the 28-30mm, and that's when things start looking a bit more normal. In terms of the image sharpness, it is really sharp. It's an f2.8, so it's low light. You do get decently wide to a decent telephoto, and it's a really good price and at a really good size. So there are going to be some sort of sacrifices. That being said, I highly recommend the lens still. You just have to know the limitations depending on what you're trying to achieve. If that barrel distortion is going to be a problem for you, then obviously I won't recommend it. And it is a problem for me sometimes, but depending on the work that I do. It's just unfortunately the barrel distortion is quite a bit of a problem for me. So overall, let me know what you think of the lens and if you've got one yourself. Cheers.